Hey folks, problem number 3. Homogeneity of proportions. Homogeneity, fancy way of saying same. Homo, same. So, homogeneity of proportions. In other words, are the proportions all the same? Probably would have been easier. They just said that. Why use a big word? Okay, so if you look at our data, they did something weird. At the very bottom of our data, they got the total flights. They added up the numbers. So there's on-time flights and not on-time flights for Southwest. On-time flights for United, not on time. So what size matrix do you enter? So what do you think? Aha. So what we're going to enter, we're going to ignore the totals. Notice that in the previous examples, we never looked at the totals. So let's just ignore the totals. So we're actually going to enter how many rows? 2. How many columns? 4. So we're going to enter a 2 by 4 matrix. Unlike last problem, I actually did it ahead of time. So if I just go to matrix really quickly and hit enter, you can see that I entered all of my numbers correctly. So I did not include the totals, just the 140, the 60, 152, 56, 168, 27, 160, 28. And now, so they didn't ask if things were independent or dependent. They asked, test whether the population proportions of the on-time flights are the same. Are the proportions all the same? So it turns out that the chi-squared also works if you're wondering if the proportions are all the same. So how many groups do we have? Southwest, United, American, Alaska. And we're wondering if the proportions are all the same. So is the proportion for Southwest, we'll call that group 1, P1 equal to P2 equal to P3 equals to P4. Are the proportions all the same? Okay. Now the alternative is a little tricky. So you might want to put does not equal symbols between them. But that's a little bit too much. That would mean that this group is different than this group, which is also different than this group, which is also different than this group. So in order to make this idea not true, all we need is for one of them to be different. So what we say is at least one proportion is different. At least one proportion is different. So they don't all need to be different from each other. But if one of them is different, then this null statement is not true. Okay. So let's just throw our numbers into our matrix. So go ahead, pause and do that. So let's see, clear. I'm going to do the chi-square test. So stat tests. I go sneaky that way to chi-square test. Observed A, yeah. Expected, it's going to make it for me. Cool. Calculate, please do. Okay, test stat. Chi-squared, just don't write 23.7, was that 15? Say chi-squared, what's your test stat? I need to know what letter it is, what type of test statistic. It's a chi-squared. Chi-squared is equal to 23.715. Why did I go to 3 places? No reason. In the future, it'll tell you how to round, or just make sure, if they don't tell you when you look at your answer in the back of the book, that you agree. Degrees of freedom. Let's see, if you do rows minus 1 times columns minus 1, you would get 3. Calculator says 3. World is good. P-val, 2.8645. 86, call it 5. E, negative 5, which is equal to 0.1234285. Super duper tiny number. Super duper tiny number. Way less than our alpha of 05. So do we reject? Yeah, we totally reject. It's a super duper tiny p-val. It's way less than that. We totally reject it. Reject HO. Evidence suggests? Yeah, lots of evidence. Evidence suggests. And then how do I put this into English? Oh, it already is. It's evidence suggests that at least one proportion is different. And you can add some words, and when you read the back of the book, they'll add some words like evidence suggests that at least one proportion of airlines on-time flights is different. So they'll add some words to put it in the context, but that's basically it. Evidence suggests that at least one proportion, you want me to add that? Fine. Evidence suggests that at least one proportion of airlines on-time flights is different. So let's put that right there. Read it one more time. Evidence suggests that at least one proportion of airlines on-time flights is different. Ta-da! See? Not too bad. Smiley face. Too much coffee today. Okie dokie.